Welcome to Brains on Games. I'm Dr. Brian McDonald, and history will be the judge of whether a barbershop is an essential business. This episode we're talking about a game that I've been waiting to discuss since I started this show. Another award-winning game, in this case a word game. I don't have very many word games. I do tend to gravitate towards strategy games, but this is a word game by the name of Codenames. It's aimed at players between, age 14 and up. It plays in about 15 minutes, and you can play it with anywhere from 2 players to 8 or more, honestly, because it's a team game, so you can have any number of players on your team. It does tend to play best with 4 or more players. So, like I said, Codenames is a word game, and let's take a look at how Codenames is laid out. So as you can see, even though you probably can't read all of them, we have a grid here of 25 cards with words on them. And the leader of each team is going to have access to a grid like this. This is the code that tells you where the red and the blue agents are. So you'll have red agent cards that look like this, and the blue agents look like that. And you saw there were some other squares that were more blank, and those are for innocent bystanders, and there's an assassin. If anybody turns up the assassin, that team loses the game. So the idea here is that you're giving clues that will allow your team to determine which words are going to be associated with the blue or the red agents, and that's based on that grid that I showed you at the beginning. So I'm not really looking at the grid here, but you have to give a one-word clue. So in this case, I'm looking across all of the words, and I did have a little bit of time to think ahead of time. Your clue might be oxygen 3. So you're looking for 3 cards that might be somehow related to oxygen. So one of these cards says air. There's a card on here that says wind, and another card up at the top that says draft. So if your team was able to guess those 3 words, and that's where their agents were, that would allow them to find 3 out of their 7 or 8 agents that might be on the board. So the skill that we're talking about here is abstract verbal reasoning. It's abstract verbal reasoning because you're trying to figure out the abstract connections between the words and share those with your team, but you can only use one word to give that clue, and then the number tells how many cards it is that you're talking about. Now, the reason why I was really excited to discuss this game is that abstract verbal reasoning is a very important skill when we're testing kids for learning problems. It's one of the abilities that's measured on the IQ test, and this is a pretty close approximation even to how that ability is measured when we're testing kids for learning problems. So that's the reason why I was so interested in talking about Codenames. And that's Codenames in a nutshell, an award-winning game that requires abstract verbal reasoning skills and uses those abilities in a way that's very similar to how they're measured in psychologist learning assessments. Next time, we'll talk about a game that involves another ability that's pretty important for school, and that is rapid mental math skills. Hopefully you'll join me for that one. In the meantime, if you have any questions or suggestions, you can find me at brian@brainsongames.ca. The website brainsongames.ca is where you'll find all of the videos posted, and hopefully you'll join me next time.